Hey, this is Ken for the Information Nation, bringing you more stuff. Yeah, I got more stuff for you. CNS News. You know, we've had so much stuff coming out about Ferguson. People burning down businesses. They say there were about 25 or 30 businesses burned down, a lot of rioting, people being arrested and everything. And a lot of the people, and it goes on nationwide, a lot of the people never got facts. They just heard that he was not charged, Officer Wilson. But why? Why was he not charged? Well, CNSnews.com has 10 key facts Ferguson Grand Jury discovered. And let's go over the facts. I'm not going to play the video. It's a little bit too long and gets a little boring. But fact number 1, Officer Wilson identified Michael Brown as a suspect in a robbery. And that was from the strong-arm robbery that he pulled at the mart there where he got the cigarillos. And so there was probable cause just to talk to him. Just to talk to him. Now, Michael Brown initiated the attack on Officer Wilson inside his police car. And according to Officer Wilson, he was punching him and that in the car. But what was funny, when you come down here, several other witnesses described Mr. Brown as punching Officer Wilson while Mr. Brown was partially inside the vehicle. So that corroborates what the officer said. Now let's go down a little bit farther. And you go down a little bit farther, and you have Michael Brown grabbed Officer Wilson's gun. Said he grabbed his gun. You're too much of a pussy to shoot me. The gun goes down onto my hip. At that point, I thought I was getting shot. I can feel his fingers trying to get inside the trigger guard with my finger, and I distinctly remember envisioning a bullet going into my leg. I thought that was the next step. A total of 12 rounds were fired by Officer Wilson. 2 shots in the car, 10 more farther east. Mr. Brown sustained a graze wound to his thumb while standing next to the vehicle. Now, the gun was fired twice during the initial struggle. And many witnesses said that they heard the gunshot while Mr. Brown was still partially inside the vehicle. So that also corroborates Officer Wilson's testimony. Officer Wilson said he feared for his life during the struggle. Now, nobody can corroborate what he felt, but that's an individual. And you have a big guy like this. I mean, Mr. Brown was no, 5'2", 110-pound soaking wet little weakling. This was a big man. He says, I felt that another one of those punches in my face could knock me out or worse. I mean, he was obviously bigger than I and stronger, and I already had taken 2 to the face, and I didn't think a third one would be fatal if he hit me. Officer Wilson repeatedly told Michael Brown to surrender. There's no corroborating testimony that they listed here on the article, but a lot of the stuff that Officer Wilson said has been corroborated. Here you go. Michael Brown was charging Officer Wilson when he was fatally shot. And other witnesses stated that Mr. Brown stopped for a brief period, then moved towards Officer Wilson again. One described his movement as a full charge. Michael Brown's hands were not held up in surrender when he was shot. We go down again. Several witnesses stated that Mr. Brown did not raise his hands at all and that he raised them briefly and then dropped them and turned towards Officer Wilson, who fired several rounds. Now, here's the part. You would say to yourself, you're looking at a strong arm, but, the guy probably get off it. But here's the part. Michael Brown had marijuana in his system and on his possession at the time of the incident. The official autopsy performed on Michael Brown showed that he had THC in his system at a level that would have been more than twice what would have allowed him to be arrested for impaired driving in Washington State, where marijuana is legal. Now, it's not legal in Missouri, at least not to my knowledge. THC is a chemical most responsible for the effects of marijuana. Brown was also carrying a bag of marijuana at the time of the shooting. Now, they didn't say how much marijuana he had, but he did have it on him. So the possibility is going to jail for possession of a narcotic. Maybe that's what got Michael Brown going. I don't know. I wasn't there, and neither were you. And not all witnesses spoke to the media. According to some witnesses, Officer Brown stopped firing when Mr. Brown stopped moving towards him and resumed firing when Mr. Brown started moving towards him again. These witnesses did not make any statements to the media. So you can see the news media pumped this thing up. They did a pretty good job of that, of getting everybody fired up. People across the nation started rioting, breaking windows, looting, because of someone they did not even know and because of a perception that they had on an incident that they knew absolutely nothing about. I really don't like the idea of having all of these riots, but then again, that's me. Maybe some of you do. The whole point is, this country blew up over an incident that nobody really knew what went on except for the witnesses and the police officer. And the witnesses corroborate what the police officer said. That's why he wasn't indicted. Now, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, all the rest of them can say, oh, it was rigged and all the rest of this stuff. Unfortunately, though, the witnesses were black. Now, you've got black witnesses that are testifying on behalf of a white officer. And grand jury is never transparent. Grand jury is always done in secret because if nothing comes of it, like this right here, where nothing comes of it, the witnesses aren't shoved out in the open, all the rest of this stuff. But here's the important thing. Officer Wilson was not allowed legal representation. This was the prosecutor finding out if he should bring charges against Officer Wilson. Officer Wilson did not have legal counsel inside the grand jury with him. So you figure it out. Personally, I waited until the grand jury was done speaking, and I think that the grand jury did a good job. I'm not too sure about the governor, but I know the grand jury did their job. The witnesses did their job. Officer Wilson did his job. I'm sorry for the Brown family, but, some people do stupid things, and it ends up hurting all of us. But that's my opinion. This has been Ken for the Information Nation, bringing you more stuff. Hey, I'm glad you could be here. Please subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. And don't forget to look at the video for notifications to learn how you can get email notifications on some of the people that you subscribe to. Every time we upload a new video, you'd get an email notification to know that we put another one up. Other than that, like I said, this is Ken for the Information Nation. Have a great day.